Airports made me feel like I was drowning on dry land. Too many people, too much noise, too many alphas strutting around like they owned the oxygen. I stood near gate 14 at Incheon International, with Min-jun strapped to my chest and a diaper bag that weighed more than he did, wondering if I had made a terrible mistake. Min-jun grabbed my shirt and made a happy gurgling sound. His chubby fingers twisted the fabric. I kissed the top of his head and whispered that we were going to be fine. I was lying to both of us. The flight to Busan was delayed. Again. The announcement crackled overhead in Korean, then English, then Japanese. Something about weather, something about patience. I had neither. I shifted my weight and tried to ignore the Alpha 2 seats over, who kept glancing at me like I was a stray dog that wandered into first class. His cologne was so strong I could taste it. I resisted the urge to gag. Min-jun squirmed. I rocked him gently. My suppressants were holding, barely. The little pill I'd swallowed that morning was doing its best, but stress had a way of burning through them faster than I liked. A beta woman walked past with a rolling suitcase. She smiled at Min-jun. He drooled in response. She laughed softly and kept moving. At least someone thought we were charming. I glanced at the departure board. Another 30-minute delay. Perfect. I had exactly one bottle of formula left, half a pack of diapers, and a patience reserve that was running on fumes. Why did I think traveling alone was a good idea? I muttered. Min-jun blew a spit bubble. Yeah, you're right. I'm an idiot. A sharp cry cut through the noise of the terminal. I looked up. Across the waiting area, near the floor-to-ceiling windows, a man stood with a baby in his arms. The child was screaming, not fussing, not complaining, screaming like the world was ending. People around him shifted uncomfortably. A few moved to different seats. One woman shot him a look that could curdle milk. The man didn't seem to notice. He was too busy trying to soothe the baby. His movements were careful but desperate. He rocked, he swayed, he whispered things I couldn't hear. Nothing worked. The baby's cries grew louder. I felt the pull before I understood it. A tug low in my chest, instinct rising like a tide. My body responded to the sound of a distressed infant the way it always did. Warmth bloomed beneath my ribs. My scent wanted to reach out. I pressed it down. Hard. This wasn't my problem. I had my own child to worry about. I didn't need to get involved with some stranger's meltdown. But the crying didn't stop. I glanced at the man again. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. His suit was expensive but wrinkled. His tie hung loose. His dark hair was pushed back like he'd been running his hands through it for hours. And his scent, oh, alpha, strong, cold, sharp as broken glass. Pine mixed with something bitter, something strained. It rolled across the space between us and hit me like a wave. My breath caught. Min-jun stirred against my chest. The alpha looked up. Our eyes met. For 1 second, the noise of the terminal faded. His gaze locked on mine, silver gray eyes, exhausted, desperate, pleading. Then the baby screamed again. The moment shattered. I looked away and tried to focus on literally anything else. The departure board, the vending machines, the guy in the corner eating kimbap like his life depended on it. The crying continued. My chest ached. My milk let down with a sharp sting that made me gasp. I bit the inside of my cheek and cursed my biology. Min-jun whimpered softly. He felt my tension. I rubbed his back and hummed low in my throat. He settled again. The alpha's scent spiked. Anxiety bled through the air. It mixed with the baby's distress and created a feedback loop that was making everything worse. I closed my eyes, took a breath, made a decision I would probably regret. I stood up. Min-jun made a curious sound. I adjusted the carrier and walked across the waiting area. My legs felt shaky, my heart pounded. The alpha turned as I approached. Up close, he looked even more wrecked. Shadows under his eyes, tension in his jaw. His shirt had a small stain on the shoulder. Spit up, maybe. The baby in his arms was tiny, red-faced, shaking with sobs. I stopped a few feet away. Excuse me. The alpha blinked at me like I'd appeared out of thin air. Yes? His voice was rough, deep. It scraped against my nerves in a way that was entirely unfair. I gestured to the baby. He's not hungry. He's overstimulated. The alpha stared at me. What? Your scent, I said bluntly. It's all over the place, anxious. Sharp. He's feeding off it. Babies do that. They mirror what they feel from their parents. The alpha's throat moved as he swallowed. I'm trying to calm him down. I know. I softened my tone. But you can't calm him when you're not calm yourself. His jaw tightened. For a second, I thought he might tell me to mind my own business. Instead, he looked down at the baby. His expression cracked. Just a little. Enough for me to see the exhaustion underneath. I don't know what else to do, he whispered. The admission hit me harder than it should have. I stepped closer. May I? He looked at me sharply. Confusion flickered across his face. Then something else. Hope. Maybe. You want to hold him? I want to help, I corrected. He hesitated. His eyes dropped to Minjun, then back to me. Please, he said quietly. I held out my arms. He transferred the baby carefully. The child was small, warm. His little body trembled with leftover sobs. I cradled him against my chest, opposite side from Minjun. I let my scent unfold slowly, gentle, steady, safe. The baby hiccuped. His cries faltered. I rocked him in a slow rhythm, hummed, soft and low. Let the warmth in my chest reach out and wrap around him like a blanket. Within 30 seconds, the crying stopped. The baby's breathing evened out. His tiny fist uncurled. He let out a shaky exhale and relaxed completely. I looked up. The alpha was staring at me like I'd just walked on water. How did you? He stopped, shook his head. What did you do? I shrugged. Babies know when someone feels safe. He just needed to feel it. The alpha's scent shifted. The sharp edges melted. Something warmer took their place. Something that made my pulse skip. He stepped closer. His gaze moved between the baby and me. Thank you, he said quietly. I've been trying for an hour. Sometimes trying too hard makes it worse, I said. He exhaled slowly. His shoulders dropped. The tension bled out of him inch by inch. I'm Sejin, he said. Han Sejin. I met his eyes. Kang Jiwan. He nodded once, like he was committing my name to memory. Minjun chose that moment to grab at the other baby's hand. The two infants made soft cooing sounds at each other. Sejin's expression softened. Something bright and vulnerable flickered across his face. And this is? He asked, gesturing to Minjun. My son, Minjun. Sejin looked at me. Really looked. His gaze lingered. You're traveling alone? He asked. Observant, I said dryly. A faint smile touched his lips. So am I. The baby in my arms, Hajun, I assumed, made a content sound and nuzzled closer to my chest. Sejin watched him with something that looked like wonder. He's never done that with anyone, he said quietly. Not even me. I didn't know what to say to that, so I said nothing. The moment stretched between us. Warm, strange, heavy with something I couldn't name. The departure board beeped. Another delay announcement. Sejin glanced at it, then back at me. Jiwan, he said slowly. May I ask you something? My pulse jumped. Depends on the question. His eyes held mine. Serious. Sincere. When we land, he said quietly. Can we talk? I should have said no. I should have handed Hajun back, grabbed my bag, and walked away. Instead, I heard myself say, yes. Relief washed over his face. Thank you, he murmured. Hajun's tiny hand curled around my finger, and just like that, everything changed. I stood there holding a stranger's baby, while my own son grabbed at Hajun's tiny fist like they were already best friends. Sejin watched me with an intensity that made my skin feel too warm. I cleared my throat. So, Busan? He blinked. What? I nodded toward the departure board. Gate 14. That's the Busan flight. You're headed there too? Yes. He straightened slightly. Business. Fun, I said flatly. I'm visiting my cousin. She thinks the ocean air will be good for Minjun. I think she just wants free babysitting. A corner of Sejin's mouth lifted. Almost a smile. Honest. I try. Hajun made a soft sound against my chest. I looked down. His eyes were half closed. His breathing had evened out completely. He looked peaceful. Content. Sejin's scent rippled through the air again. Warmer now, less jagged. It brushed against mine in a way that made my breath catch. I forced myself to focus on the baby. Not on the alpha standing too close. Not on the way his presence made the space feel smaller. He's beautiful, I said quietly. Sejin's expression softened. Thank you. He paused. His mother passed away 2 months ago. My chest tightened. I looked up sharply. Sejin's gaze was distant. Grief flickered across his features, raw and unguarded. I'm sorry, I said. The words felt inadequate. He shook his head. She was my closest friend. We weren't. He stopped, chose his words carefully. It wasn't a romantic bond, but she trusted me with him, and now I'm all he has. I understood more than he probably realized. Single parent, doing it alone, terrified of failing. You're doing better than you think, I said. His eyes met mine. I'm barely holding on. The honesty startled me. Alphas didn't admit weakness. Not in public. Not to strangers. But Sejin looked at me like he'd forgotten how to pretend. Join the club, I said. I had a breakdown in a convenience store last week because they were out of the formula Minjun likes. I cried in the parking lot for 20 minutes. Sejin stared at me. Then he laughed. It was a quiet sound. Rough around the edges. But real. Thank you, he said. For what? Oversharing? For being honest. His gaze held mine. Most people lie when they talk to me. I raised an eyebrow. Do you usually inspire that much dishonesty? Apparently. Minjun chose that moment to spit up on my shoulder. A small warm splatter that soaked through my shirt immediately. Perfect timing. I sighed. Of course. Sejin's lips twitched. Do you need a new shirt? A time machine? A vacation? I shifted Hajun carefully and reached for the diaper bag. I've got wipes. I'm basically a walking baby supply store at this point. Sejin watched as I juggled both babies and managed to pull out a pack of wipes one-handed. I cleaned my shoulder as best I could. Impressive, he said. You learn fast when you're alone, I muttered. His expression shifted. Something thoughtful crossed his features. You don't have to be, he said quietly. I looked up. What? Alone. He hesitated. His scent pulsed through the air. Intentional, controlled. I meant what I said. I'd like to talk. When we land. My pulse jumped. I tried to ignore it. About what exactly? I asked. About help. He glanced at Hajun. You calmed him in seconds. I've been struggling for weeks. Nannies quit. Family members get frustrated. No one can soothe him the way you just did. I stared at him. You want to hire me? I want to offer you something better than whatever brought you to an airport alone, with a 4-month-old. My spine stiffened. You don't know anything about my situation. I know you're traveling budget class with a diaper bag held together by duct tape. His tone was gentle, not condescending. I know you're doing this alone, and I know you're good at it. Heat crawled up my neck. I wasn't sure if I was embarrassed or angry. Maybe both. I don't need charity, I said. I'm not offering charity. Sejin stepped closer. His scent wrapped around me. Pine and cold wind and something underneath that made my instincts hum. I'm offering partnership. You need stability. I need help. Hajun needs someone who doesn't make him scream. I looked down at the baby in my arms. He was asleep now, completely relaxed. His tiny hand still curled around my finger. My chest ached. I don't even know you, I said quietly. Then let's change that. Sejin's voice softened. One conversation. That's all I'm asking. I should have said no. Every rational part of my brain screamed that this was a bad idea. Strange alpha, expensive suit, desperation hidden behind polite words. But I looked at Hajun, at Minjun, at the way Sejin's scent had gentled when he saw his son peaceful for the first time in who knew how long. And I thought about the eviction notice folded in my bag, the empty bank account, the formula I couldn't afford to replace. One conversation, I said. Sejin's shoulders dropped. Relief flooded his expression. Thank you. The boarding announcement crackled overhead. Our flight. Finally. Sejin reached for Hajun carefully. I transferred him slowly. The baby stirred but didn't wake. Sejin held him with more confidence now. His movements were steadier. You're a fast learner, I said. He looked at me. I had a good teacher. I rolled my eyes. That was one lesson. Don't get cocky. His lips curved. Noted. We moved toward the boarding line. People pressed around us. The usual chaos of airport travel. But Sejin stayed close. His presence carved out space. No one bumped into me. No one pushed past. It should have felt suffocating. Instead, it felt oddly safe. We boarded together. Sejin's seat was in business class. Mine was 12 rows back in economy. He paused at the divider, looked at his ticket. Then at me. Would you consider sitting with me? He asked. There's an empty seat. I'll handle the upgrade. I blinked. You can't just. I own the airline. I stared at him. He stared back. Completely serious. Of course you do, I muttered. Is that a yes? I looked at Minjun, then at the cramped economy seats beyond, then at the spacious business class section with actual legroom. Fine, I said. But I'm not sitting in your lap if it gets crowded. Sejin's eyes gleamed. I wouldn't dream of it. Liar. A flight attendant appeared. Sejin spoke to her in rapid Korean. She glanced at me, smiled, and nodded. Within 2 minutes, I had a new boarding pass and a seat next to him. I sank into the leather seat and tried not to moan out loud. Minjun wiggled happily. Even he could tell this was an upgrade. Sejin settled beside me with Hajun. The baby was still asleep, still peaceful. The cabin filled slowly. Passengers moved past. A few glanced at Sejin with recognition. He ignored them all. His attention stayed on me. Comfortable? He asked. I'm sitting in a chair that costs more than my rent, I said. So yeah, comfortable is one word for it. He smiled. A real one this time. It changed his entire face, made him look younger, less untouchable. Good. The plane door closed. The engines hummed to life. Sejin's scent drifted across the space between us. It mingled with mine, a slow, deliberate blend that made my pulse quicken. I turned my head and caught him watching me. What? I asked. Nothing. He looked away. But his scent deepened, richer, warmer. I felt my own respond without permission. A gentle unfurling. An answer to a question neither of us had asked out loud. The plane lifted off the ground, and somewhere between the earth and the sky, something shifted. Something that would be impossible to undo. I forced myself to look out the window. Clouds stretched beneath us like cotton. The sky above was impossibly blue. Safe topics, neutral thoughts. Anything to ignore the way Sejin's scent kept reaching for mine. Minjun dozed against my chest. His breathing was soft and even. I traced circles on his back and tried to calm my own pulse. How long are you staying in Busan? Sejin asked. His voice was quiet. Careful. Like he didn't want to startle me. 3 days, I said. My cousin lives near Haeundae Beach. She keeps saying Minjun needs to experience the ocean. He's 4 months old. I told her that. I glanced at him. She said I was being negative. Sejin's mouth curved. Are you? Negative? I'm realistic, I corrected. There's a difference. Is there? I raised an eyebrow. You're awfully curious for someone who just met me an hour ago. You're holding my son, he said simply. I think that earns me a few questions. Fair point. I shifted Minjun slightly, his head lolled against my shoulder. What about you? How long are you in Busan? 2 days. Meetings. He paused. Though I'm considering extending it. Thrilling. It could be, he said quietly. I felt his gaze on me. Heat crawled up my neck. I kept my eyes firmly on the window. A flight attendant approached with a smile. She spoke to Sejin in Korean. He responded smoothly. She nodded and moved away. What did she want? I asked. To know if we needed anything. And? I told her we were fine. The word we hung in the air between us. I ignored it. Hajun stirred in Sejin's arms. His little face scrunched up. Sejin adjusted his hold immediately. Careful. Gentle. The baby settled again without fully waking. You're getting better at that, I said. Sejin looked down at his son. Something soft crossed his features. I have a good example. Stop that. Stop what? Being charming. I shot him a look. It's annoying. His smile widened. I'll try to be more irritating then. You're already halfway there. He laughed. The sound was low and warm. It did unfair things to my stomach. I looked away quickly. The plane hit a patch of turbulence. Nothing major. Just enough to make my grip on Minjun tighten instinctively. Sejin's hand moved without thought. He steadied my arm. His palm was warm against my skin. The touch lasted maybe 2 seconds. It felt like longer. He pulled back quickly. Sorry. It's fine, I said. It wasn't fine. My skin still tingled where he'd touched me. I shifted in my seat and tried to focus on literally anything else. The safety card in the seat pocket, the tiny airplane window, the questionable carpet pattern on the floor. Ji-won. I looked at him, despite myself. His expression was serious now. The playfulness, gone. I meant what I said earlier, about talking, about offering you something. I know. Do you? He leaned forward slightly. Because you look like you're planning an escape route. I'm always planning escape routes, I said. It's a survival skill. His jaw tightened. What are you running from? The question hit harder than it should have. I looked down at Minjun, his tiny hand curled against my chest. Trusting, safe. Nothing you need to know about, I said quietly. Seijin was silent for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was gentler. I'm not trying to push. I just want to help. Why? I met his gaze. You don't know me. You don't owe me anything. So why do you care? He held my stare. His scent pulsed through the air. Deliberate, honest. Because you stepped forward when everyone else stepped back, he said. Because you saw my son in distress and your first instinct was to help. Not judge, not walk away. Help. He paused. That says more about you than anything else could. My throat tightened. That's just instinct, I said. Any Omega would have done the same. No. His voice was firm. They wouldn't have. Most people see a struggling alpha and assume he deserves it. You saw a baby who needed comfort. There's a difference. I didn't know what to say to that. Hajun made a soft sound. Seijin looked down immediately. His entire focus shifted. The fierce CEO disappeared. In his place was just a father. Worried, attentive, human. It was unbearably attractive. I hated that I noticed. He's still asleep, I said. Just dreaming. Seijin relaxed slightly. How do you know? His eyes are moving under his lids, and his scent is calm. I shrugged. You learn to read the signs. He watched me for a long moment. You're good at this. I've had practice. Where's Minjun's other parent? The question was casual, but I felt the weight behind it. I stared at the seat in front of me. Gone. He decided fatherhood wasn't for him about 2 weeks after Minjun was born. Seijin's scent sharpened. Anger bled through the edges. He left you alone with a newborn? Yep. I kept my voice light. Signed away his rights and everything. Very efficient. That's not efficient. That's cruel. I looked at him. His jaw was tight. His eyes burned with something fierce. It's fine, I said. Better he left than stayed and resented us both. It's not fine. Seijin's voice dropped. You shouldn't have had to do this alone. Well, I did. I shifted Minjun gently. And we're surviving. Surviving isn't the same as thriving. It is when you don't have other options. Seijin opened his mouth, closed it. His scent pulsed again, frustrated, protective. I felt my own respond despite myself. A gentle wave, an acknowledgement. No. I pressed it down hard. Suppressants or not, I couldn't afford to let my biology make decisions for me. Don't, I said quietly. Don't what? Whatever you're thinking, don't. His eyes searched mine. What am I thinking? That you can fix this. That you can swoop in and make everything better. I held his gaze. I don't need saving, Seijin. I need stability. There's a difference. He leaned back slowly, his expression unreadable. What if I'm offering both? Then I'd say you're moving too fast. Am I? We met an hour ago, and yet you're sitting here with me. His voice softened. You could have said no. Could have stayed in economy. Could have kept your distance. You upgraded my seat without asking. You accepted. Damn him for being right. I looked away. My pulse hammered in my throat. The flight attendant returned with drinks. I took a water gratefully. Seijin ordered something I didn't catch. She smiled at him like he'd hung the moon. I resisted the urge to roll my eyes. When she left, Seijin turned back to me. Tell me about your cousin. The subject change was abrupt, intentional. I took the escape route, he offered. Mireille. She's loud, opinionated, and convinced she knows what's best for everyone. I sipped my water. We're basically the same person. Seijin smiled. Does she know you're struggling? She knows I'm between jobs. She doesn't know how bad it is. I paused. I'm good at hiding things. I've noticed. Our eyes met. The air between us thickened. Minjun shifted. Broke the moment. I looked down and adjusted his position. When I glanced back up, Seijin was still watching me. What? I asked. I'm trying to figure you out. Good luck with that. I'm a mystery even to myself. His smile turned softer. I like mysteries. Of course you do. You're probably the type who finishes puzzles in one sitting. Guilty. I shook my head. Overachiever. Says the person raising a child alone while looking for work and traveling to Busan. Touché. The plane began its descent. My ears popped. I yawned to clear them. Minjun stirred but didn't wake. Sejin checked Hajun. The baby was still peaceful, still content. He never sleeps this long, Sejin said quietly. Not with me. He feels safe, I said. Your scent is calmer. He's feeding off that. Sejin looked at me. Because of you. I didn't answer. The runway appeared below. Concrete and light. The plane touched down smoothly. Sejin's hand found mine. The touch was brief, gentle. Gone before I could process it, but my skin burned where his fingers had been. Thank you, he said quietly. For everything. I swallowed hard. We haven't talked yet. I know. His eyes held mine. But I'm already grateful. The plane rolled to a stop, and I realized I was in far more trouble than I'd thought. The seatbelt sign dinged off. People around us stood immediately, reaching for overhead compartments like their luggage might escape if they waited another second. Sejin stayed seated. So did I. Minjun was still asleep. Moving him now would be a gamble I wasn't willing to take. A cranky baby on a plane was one thing. A cranky baby in an airport terminal was a special kind of hell. No rush, Sejin said quietly. I glanced at him. Don't you have important CEO things to do? They can wait. The aisle cleared slowly. Passengers filed past. A few glanced at Sejin with recognition. One man paused like he wanted to say something, then thought better of it and kept moving. Smart man. When the cabin finally emptied, Sejin stood. He held Hajun with one arm and offered me his other hand. I stared at it. I can stand on my own, I said. I know. His hand didn't move. Humor me. I rolled my eyes but took it anyway. His palm was warm, steady. He pulled me up gently, like I was something fragile. I wasn't sure how I felt about that. We gathered our things, my diaper bag, his sleek black carry-on that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe. The usual chaos of disembarking. Sejin walked beside me through the jet bridge. His presence carved space again. People moved around us without crowding. I could get used to that. No. Bad thought. Stop it. The terminal was bright and busy. Announcements echoed overhead. The smell of coffee and something fried drifted from a nearby cafe. My stomach growled. Sejin glanced at me. When did you last eat? This morning. Maybe. I shifted Minjin. Time is a construct when you have a baby. He frowned. That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting. His jaw tightened. But he didn't push. We walked in silence for a moment. Then Sejin slowed. There's a lounge near baggage claim. Private, quiet. We could talk there. I hesitated. This was the moment. The crossroads. I could thank him politely, collect my bag, and disappear into the Busan crowds. Go to Murray's apartment, pretend this never happened. Or I could follow him into that lounge and hear whatever offer he was planning. Minjun made a soft sound against my chest. His tiny hand flexed. I thought about the eviction notice, the empty bank account, the formula I couldn't afford. Fine, I said. But if this turns out to be some weird alpha recruitment scheme, I'm leaving. Sejin's lips twitched. Noted. The lounge was exactly what I expected. Leather chairs, soft lighting, a wall of windows overlooking the tarmac. It was empty, except for a staff member who nodded at Sejin and disappeared into a back room. Of course he had access to private airport lounges. Of course. Sejin gestured to a couch near the windows. Sit, please. I sat. The cushions were absurdly comfortable. Minjun stirred slightly but stayed asleep. Sejin settled across from me. Hajun was awake now, looking around with wide, curious eyes. He didn't cry. Just observed everything with the serious expression babies sometimes got. Do you want something to eat? Sejin asked. They have sandwiches. Fruit, whatever you need. I'm fine. Jiwon. I looked at him. You haven't eaten since this morning. Let me get you something. The concern in his voice was genuine. It made my chest tighten in a way I didn't like. A sandwich would be good, I said quietly. He stood and walked to a small kitchenette area, returned a minute later with a plate, turkey and cheese on wheat bread, apple slices, a bottle of water. I stared at it. You didn't have to do this. I know. He sat back down. Hajun reached for his tie. Sejin let him grab it without complaint. I took a bite of the sandwich. It was good. Better than the convenience store kimbap I'd been living on for the past week. Thank you, I said. He nodded. We sat in silence for a moment. I ate. He watched Hajun. The air between us felt thick with unspoken things. Finally, Sejin spoke. I need to be honest with you. I swallowed. About what? About why I'm asking for your help. He looked at me directly. Hajun's mother, Unji, was my best friend since university. When she got pregnant, the father disappeared. She had no family support, so I stepped in. I listened quietly. We made an arrangement, he continued. I would help raise Hajun, provide for him, be there. She agreed to let me be listed as his parent legally, not out of romance, out of necessity and trust. That's a big commitment, I said softly. It was the right one. His voice roughened. She died 2 months ago, complications from childbirth that came back. By the time we caught it, it was too late. My throat tightened. I'm sorry. He nodded slowly. I've been trying to manage. Work. Hajun. Everything. But I'm failing. He cries constantly. Won't eat properly. Won't sleep. Every nanny I hire quits within a week. Because he's grieving, I said quietly. Sejin looked at me sharply. Babies grieve too, I continued. They don't understand death, but they understand absence. He knows his mother is gone. He feels it. Sejin's expression cracked. Just a little. Enough for me to see the exhaustion underneath. I don't know how to help him through that, he admitted. You can't fix grief, I said. You can only hold him through it. His eyes held mine. Like you did. In the airport, I looked down at Hajun. He was chewing on Sejin's tie happily, completely calm. He responded to you, Sejin said quietly. In a way he hasn't responded to anyone, including me. That's not true. He loves you. I can see it in the way he looks at you. But he doesn't calm with me. Not like he does with you. I didn't know what to say to that. Sejin leaned forward. His scent drifted across the space between us, warm, intentional. I'm offering you a position, he said. Live in. You and Minjun would have your own space. Private, safe. You'd help with Hajun. I'd pay you well. Better than well. And you'd have stability, security, everything you need. My heart pounded. You're asking me to move in with you? I'm asking you to help me raise a child who needs you. You don't know that he needs me. We met 2 hours ago. And in those 2 hours, he's been more peaceful than he's been in 2 months. Sejin's gaze was steady. That's not coincidence, Jiwon. That's connection. I stood abruptly. Minjun woke with a small cry. I rocked him automatically. This is insane, I said. You're talking about uprooting my entire life based on one plane ride. I'm talking about giving you a life that isn't held together by duct tape and hope. The words hit like a slap. I turned away, looked out the window. Planes taxied across the tarmac. People moved through the terminal below. Normal people with normal lives, unlike whatever this was becoming. What if it doesn't work? I asked quietly. What if I take your offer and Hajun stops responding to me? What if I fail? Then we figure it out together. I looked back at him. You say that like it's simple. It is simple. He stood, walked toward me, stopped close enough that I could feel his warmth. You need help. I need help. We help each other. And what happens when you don't need me anymore? His jaw tightened. That won't happen. You can't promise that. I can. His voice dropped. Because I've spent 2 months drowning, and you're the first person who's offered me air. I'm not letting that go. My breath caught. Minjun whimpered. I bounced him gently, tried to think past the pounding of my heart. I need time, I said. How much? I don't know. More than 2 hours. Sejin nodded slowly. Where are you staying? My cousin's apartment. Hyundai. I have a suite at the Park Hyatt, 20 minutes from there. He paused. Come to dinner tomorrow night. Bring Minjun. Let Hajun spend more time with you. See how it feels. No pressure, no commitment, just conversation. I should have said no. Every rational part of my brain screamed it, but I looked at Hajun, at the way he'd calmed in my arms, at the way Sejin looked at his son with desperate hope, and I thought about Minjun, about giving him a life that wasn't constantly on the edge of collapse. One dinner, I said. Relief flooded Sejin's face. One dinner? And if I don't like what I hear, I walk away. No guilt, no questions. Agreed. He pulled out his phone. Give me your number. I'll send you the details. I rattled it off. My phone buzzed a second later. Sejin's contact appeared on my screen. He'd added a photo. Him holding Ha-jun. Both of them looking at the camera. My chest did something stupid. Tomorrow. 7 o'clock, he said. I'll think about it. That's not a no. It's not a yes either. His smile was small but genuine. I'll take it. We gathered our things. The lounge suddenly felt too small, too warm. At the door, Sejin stopped. Turned to me. Jiwon? I looked up. Thank you, he said quietly, for giving this a chance. I haven't decided anything yet. I know. His eyes held mine. But you're here. That's enough. We walked into the terminal together, and I realized I'd already made my choice. I just wasn't ready to admit it yet. The baggage claim area was a maze of people and noise. I stood near the carousel with Minjun strapped to my chest and watched suitcases slide past. Mine hadn't appeared yet. Naturally, Sejin waited beside me, with Ha-jun in one arm and his carry-on in the other. He looked completely unbothered by the chaos, like he existed in a different dimension where airports didn't suck. Is yours the duct-taped one? He asked. I shot him a look. It has character. It has structural concerns. Same thing. His mouth twitched. My suitcase finally appeared. It lurched along the carousel with all the grace of a wounded animal. The duct tape I'd applied last week was holding. Barely. I reached for it. Sejin got there first. He lifted it off the carousel one-handed, set it beside me. I could have done that, I said. I know. So why didn't you let me? Because I wanted to help. He looked at me evenly. Is that all right? I opened my mouth, closed it. Fine, thank you. You're welcome. Minjun chose that moment to grab a fistful of my hair and yank. I yelped, gently pried his fingers loose. Traitor, I muttered. Sejin smiled. He has good grip strength. He has violent tendencies. Ha-jun reached toward Minjun with a curious sound. The two babies stared at each other. Minjun waved his hand. Ha-jun watched like it was the most fascinating thing he'd ever seen. They like each other, Sejin said quietly. I looked at them. Something in my chest squeezed. Don't read into it, I said. Too late. A car horn honked outside. I glanced toward the exit. That's probably my cousin. Sejin's expression shifted. Something tightened around his eyes. You're leaving now? That was the plan. Right. He adjusted Ha-jun carefully. Of course. The disappointment in his voice was barely there. But I caught it. It did unfair things to my resolve. Tomorrow, I said. 7 o'clock. You said Park Hyatt? His eyes lifted to mine. Yes. Text me the room number. I will. We stood there. People moved around us. Announcements echoed overhead. But the space between us felt strangely still. Jiwon, Sejin said quietly. If you change your mind, I won't. But if you do, Sejin. I met his gaze. I said I'll come. I don't break promises. Something softened in his expression. Good. Another horn. Longer this time. I sighed. I really need to go. I know. Neither of us moved. Ha-jun made a soft sound, reached toward me with one tiny hand. My heart did something stupid. I touched his palm gently. His fingers curled around mine. Held on. See you tomorrow, little one, I whispered. Sejin watched us with an intensity that made my skin feel too warm. I pulled away carefully, grabbed my suitcase, started toward the exit. Jiwon. I stopped, looked back. Sejin stood there holding his son. His scent pulsed through the air. Warm. Steady. Thank you, he said. You already said that. I meant it both times. I shook my head and walked away before I could do something stupid, like stay. Outside, the Busan air hit me. Salt and ocean and exhaust. A bright red sedan sat at the curb with hazard lights flashing. Mirai leaned out the driver's window. Finally, I've been circling for 20 minutes. Sorry. I opened the back door and wrestled my suitcase inside. Flight was delayed. Of course it was. She twisted around to look at Minjun. Her face lit up. Oh my God. He's gotten so big. It's been 3 weeks. 3 weeks is forever in baby time. She reached back and wiggled her fingers at him. Minjun stared at her solemnly. Still not a fan of me, I see. He's cautious. He's judgmental. I respect it. She faced forward and pulled into traffic. So, how was the flight? I buckled Minjun's car seat. Fine? Just fine? Yep. You're lying. I looked up sharply. What? Mireille glanced at me in the rearview mirror. You have your lying face on, the one where you try to look casual but your eye twitches. My eye doesn't twitch. It absolutely does. She merged onto the highway. Spill. What happened? I sighed. Nothing happened. Jiwan. Fine. I met someone. She nearly swerved into another lane. What? Eyes on the road. You met someone? On a plane? She was practically vibrating. Details. Now. There are no details. Lies. I leaned back against the seat. An alpha's baby was crying. I helped. We talked. That's it. That is not it. Mireille's eyes narrowed in the mirror. What's his name? Why does it matter? Because you're blushing. I'm not. I touched my face. It was warm. Damn it. His name is Seijin. Seijin what? Han Seijin. Mireille slammed on the brakes. The car behind us honked furiously. What the hell, Mireille? Han Seijin? She stared at me. As in Han Seijin, who owns like half of Seoul. That Han Seijin. My stomach dropped. What? Oh my God. She started driving again, but kept glancing at me. You met Han Seijin. The Han Seijin. And you didn't know who he was? I don't follow business news. He's not business news. He's a whole category. She laughed incredulously. What did he want? I hesitated. To hire me. To do what? Help with his son. Mireille was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was careful. Jiwan, be honest with me. Are you seriously considering this? I don't know yet. That's a yes. I looked out the window. Buildings streaked past. He offered me stability, Mireille. A place to live. Money. Everything I've been struggling to find. And what does he want in return? Help raising his child. Just that? I thought about the way Seijin looked at me. The way his scent had reached for mine. I think so, I said quietly. Mireille sighed. Look, I love you, you know that. But this sounds like a recipe for disaster. I know. You barely know this guy. I know. He's an alpha. A powerful one. They don't offer things without expectations. I know. I rubbed my face. Trust me. I've been through this already in my head. But Mireille, I'm running out of options. The eviction notice is real. I have maybe 2 weeks before I'm on the street with Minjun. Her expression softened. I told you, you can stay with me. In your one-bedroom apartment? Where would we even sleep? We'd figure it out. You're already doing too much. You're my family. My throat tightened. Which is why I can't keep taking from you. We drove in silence for a while. The ocean appeared on our left, endless and blue. When are you seeing him again? Mireille asked. Tomorrow night. Dinner. At his place. His hotel. She made a sound. Classy. Mireille. I'm just saying, hotels have beds. It's dinner. With babies present? Uh-huh. She pulled off the highway. Well, if you're doing this, you're doing it smart. I'm coming with you. What? No. Yes. Mireille, you can't. I can and I will. She pulled up to her apartment building, put the car in park, turned to face me fully. I'm not letting you walk into a hotel room with some alpha billionaire without backup. I don't care how cute his baby is. I wanted to argue. But the truth was, having Mireille there felt safer. Fine, I said. But you have to behave. I'm always behaved. You told my last date he had the personality of lukewarm tea. He did. And I was right. I grabbed my bag and climbed out. Mireille popped the trunk. I wrestled my suitcase onto the sidewalk. Her apartment was small but cozy. 3rd floor. No elevator. By the time I carried everything up, I was sweating. Mireille held the door open. Welcome to paradise. The apartment was exactly as I remembered. Cluttered but clean. Plants on every surface. A wall covered in photos and art. I set my suitcase down. Minjun was fussing now. Hungry. Guest room is yours, Mireille said. Fresh sheets, clean towels. Mikasa es su casa. Thank you. I meant it. She smiled. What's family for? I fed Minjun on the couch while Mireille made tea. She talked about her job, her neighbor's cat, the new cafe down the street, normal things, safe things, but my mind kept drifting. To Seijin's voice, to Hajun's tiny hand in mine, to the way the alpha's scent had wrapped around me like a question. My phone buzzed. I checked it. Seijin. Room 1804. Looking forward to tomorrow. My heart did something complicated. Mireille peered over my shoulder. Oh, you're in trouble. Shut up. You like him. I don't even know him. That's not a no. I set my phone down. I'm taking this one step at a time. Smart. She sipped her tea. But Jiwon, be careful. Guys like that? They're used to getting what they want. I looked down at Minjun. He was nearly asleep, content and safe. I know, I said quietly. But I was starting to wonder if careful was even an option anymore. Marae's guest room was small but comfortable. A double bed, a dresser, a window that overlooked the street. I'd set up Minjun's portable crib in the corner. He was asleep now, breathing softly. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at my phone. Seijin's message stared back at me. Room 1804. Looking forward to tomorrow. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. I should reply. Something polite. Professional. Instead, I set the phone down, then picked it up again. Put it down. This is ridiculous, I muttered. Minjun made a small sound in his sleep. I looked over. He'd kicked his blanket off. I stood and tucked it back around him gently. My phone buzzed. I jumped. Another message from Seijin. I hope I didn't overstep earlier. If you need more time, I understand. I stared at the screen. The thing was, he hadn't overstepped. That was the problem. He'd been nothing but respectful, careful, kind, and that scared me more than anything. I typed quickly before I could overthink it. You didn't overstep. See you tomorrow. His reply came immediately. Good. Sleep well, Jiwon. My chest did something warm and inconvenient. I turned my phone face down and climbed into bed. Closed my eyes. Tried to sleep. My mind had other plans. It replayed every moment from the airport. Seijin's scent, the way he'd looked at me when I'd calmed Hajun, the careful way he'd touched my arm during the turbulence, the way he'd said my name. I rolled over, punched the pillow, tried again. Nothing. By the time morning light crept through the window, I'd maybe slept 3 hours total. Fantastic. Minjun woke at 6, right on schedule. I fed him, changed him, and brought him out to the kitchen. Mireille was already up, somehow. She stood at the stove in pajamas and a silk bonnet, making what smelled like French toast. You look terrible, she said cheerfully. Good morning to you too. Didn't sleep? Not really. She slid a plate toward me. Eat. You'll feel better. I sat at the tiny kitchen table and took a bite. It was good. Cinnamon and vanilla. Exactly what I needed. So, Mireille said, leaning against the counter. Tonight's the big dinner. It's not big. It's just dinner. With a billionaire? With a single dad who needs help. A billionaire single dad? She sipped her coffee. What are you wearing? I looked down at my faded sweatshirt. Clothes? No, absolutely not. She set her mug down with determination. We're going shopping. Mireille, I can't afford. My treat. Consider it emotional support. She pointed her fork at me. You're meeting this guy on even ground. That means looking like you belong in a 5-star hotel. I don't belong in a 5-star hotel. Not with that attitude. Despite myself, I smiled. We spent the morning at a shopping district near Haeundae Beach. Mireille dragged me into stores I'd normally walk past. She had opinions about everything. Too casual. Too formal. That color washes you out. Are you trying to look like a librarian? Finally, we found something that satisfied her. A simple button-down in soft gray, dark jeans that actually fit. Nothing flashy, but clean, put together. Perfect, Mireille declared. You look hot but approachable. I'm not trying to look hot. Too late. You already do. I changed back into my regular clothes and tried not to think about the price tag. Mireille paid before I could argue. You're doing too much, I said. I'm investing in your future. She looped her arm through mine. Now let's get lunch. You need carbs before you face billionaire alpha dad. We ate kalguksu at a tiny restaurant near the beach. Minjun sat in a high chair and gnawed on a teething ring. The ocean breeze drifted through the open door. Salt and warmth. I miss this, I said quietly. Mireille smiled. Busan? You. Being around someone who actually likes me. Her expression softened. Hey, lots of people like you. Name 3. Me, Minjun. And apparently Han Seijin. I threw a napkin at her. She laughed. I'm serious. The guy texted you at like midnight to make sure he didn't overstep. That's not normal alpha behavior. You don't know what normal alpha behavior is. I know what abnormal is. And checking in, respecting boundaries? That's rare. She leaned forward. Just be careful, okay? I don't want you getting hurt. I won't. You say that now. She wasn't wrong. The afternoon passed too quickly. Before I knew it, it was 6 o'clock. Time to get ready. I showered, changed into the new clothes, stared at myself in the mirror. I looked different. Still me, but sharper, more intentional. Mireille appeared behind me. You clean up nice. Thanks. She handed me Minjun. He was dressed in a little outfit she'd apparently bought without telling me. Navy blue with tiny whales on it. Mireille. What? He needed something cute too. I shook my head but smiled. We took a taxi to the Park Hyatt. The building was glass and steel and entirely too expensive looking. Mireille whistled low. Okay. This is intimidating. You're the one who insisted on coming. For moral support, which you clearly need. The lobby was all marble and soft lighting. A fountain burbled in the center. Everything smelled like money and jasmine. I felt completely out of place. Mireille grabbed my arm. Chin up. You belong here just as much as anyone else. I wasn't sure I believed that, but I appreciated the attempt. We took the elevator to the 18th floor. The hallway was quiet, plush carpet, artwork on the walls. Room 1804 sat at the end. I stopped in front of it. You okay? Mireille asked. No. Want to leave? No. Then knock. I took a breath, shifted Minjun in my arms, raised my hand. The door opened before I could knock. Sejin stood there. He'd changed too. Dark slacks, a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up. His hair was slightly damp like he'd just showered. He looked unfairly good. Jiwon. His eyes swept over me. Something warm flickered in his expression. You came. I said I would. His gaze shifted to Mireille. And you brought a friend. Bodyguard, Mireille corrected. She stuck out her hand. Lee Mireille. Jiwon's cousin and personal interrogator. Sejin's mouth curved. He shook her hand. Han Sejin, pleased to meet you. We'll see about that. I elbowed her. Sejin stepped back. Please, come in. The suite was massive. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the ocean, a living area with couches that probably cost more than my car, a dining table already set with food, and in a portable crib near the window, Ha-jun slept peacefully. My chest squeezed. He's been calm all day, Sejin said quietly. I think he was waiting for you. I walked over slowly, looked down at the sleeping baby. His tiny face was relaxed. Content. He's beautiful, I whispered. He is. I felt Sejin's presence behind me, close but not crowding. His scent drifted forward, pine and something warmer now, less sharp. It wrapped around me, gently. Mireille cleared her throat loudly. So, where's this dinner you promised? Sejin gestured to the table. Please, sit. The food was incredible. Grilled fish, banchan, fresh vegetables, everything beautifully arranged. Mireille ate with enthusiasm. I picked at my plate. My stomach was too tight to manage much. Sejin noticed. Not hungry? Nervous, I admitted. Don't be. His voice was soft. This is just conversation, no pressure. Mireille snorted. Says the guy who probably has lawyers on speed dial. Sejin's lips twitched. I left them in Seoul. Despite myself, I smiled. Minjun started fussing. I stood to get his bottle. Sejin was already there, warming it in a bowl of hot water from the kitchen. You don't have to. I want to help. He tested the temperature on his wrist, handed it to me. Is this okay? I took it. Our fingers brushed. Heat shot up my arm. I pulled back quickly. It's fine, thank you. Haejun woke with a small cry. Sejin moved immediately, lifted him carefully. The baby fussed. May I asked. Sejin's eyes met mine. He nodded. I settled Minjun in Mireille's arms. She took him without comment, watched everything with sharp eyes. I reached for Haejun. The moment I held him, his crying stopped. He looked up at me with wide gray eyes, so much like his father's. Hey, little one, I whispered. He made a soft sound, reached for my face with one tiny hand. My heart cracked open. Sejin stood close, his scent wrapped around us both. Warm, protective, safe. He knows you, Sejin said quietly. He trusts you. I looked up. Sejin's expression was open, vulnerable in a way I hadn't seen before. Jiwon, he said, I need to tell you something. My pulse jumped. What? I'm not offering you a job. His voice was steady. Certain. I'm offering you a partnership. A family. For both of you. The words hung in the air. Murray went very still. I stared at him. Seijin. I know it's fast. I know it sounds impossible. He stepped closer. But when I saw you with him, when I felt how everything shifted, I knew. This isn't coincidence. It's meant to be. My throat tightened. You don't know me. Then let me. His eyes held mine. Let me know you. Let me prove this can work. Hajun grabbed my finger. Held on tight. And I realized I was standing at the edge of something terrifying. Something I couldn't walk away from. Not anymore. Okay, time out. Mireille stood abruptly. Minjun squirmed in her arms. Can we pump the brakes on the destiny talk for like 5 seconds? Seijin's gaze didn't leave mine. Of course. Great. She shifted Minjun to her hip. Jiwon, can I talk to you? Privately? I looked down at Hajun. He was completely relaxed in my arms. His small hand still wrapped around my finger. Mireille. Kitchen, now. Her tone left no room for argument. I handed Hajun back to Seijin carefully. The baby made a small noise of protest. Seijin's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. I followed Mireille into the suite's kitchen. It was all granite and stainless steel, bigger than my entire apartment back in Seoul. The moment we were out of earshot, Mireille turned on me. What the hell are you doing? I don't know, I said honestly. He just offered you a family, Jiwon. A family, after one day. I know how it sounds. Do you? Because it sounds completely insane. She paced. Minjun watched her with wide eyes. This guy is rich, powerful. He could offer you the world and then take it away the second he gets bored. He's not like that. You don't know what he's like. Her voice rose. You met him yesterday. Keep your voice down. No. She stopped. Faced me fully. I love you. You're my family. Which is why I'm telling you this is a mistake. The words hit harder than I expected. You think I don't know that? My voice cracked. You think I'm not terrified? But Mireille, I'm out of options. The eviction notice is real. I have 2 weeks before I'm homeless with a baby. Then stay with me. We'll figure it out. For how long? A month, 2? You can barely afford this place on your own. She flinched. I immediately regretted it. I'm sorry. I didn't mean. No, you're right. She looked down at Minjun. I can't give you what he can. I know that. That's not what I meant, but it's true. She met my eyes. Just promise me something. Promise me you'll be smart about this. Don't let him rush you. Don't let the money cloud your judgment. I won't. And if he hurts you, you'll kill him, I know. A small smile touched her lips. Damn right. We stood there for a moment. The tension slowly bled out of the air. I'm scared, I admitted quietly. I know, she touched my arm. But you're also brave. Braver than you think. I nodded. Tried to believe it. We returned to the living room. Seijin was on the couch with both babies, Hajun in one arm, Minjun in the other. He was humming something soft. Both children were completely calm. My heart did something complicated. Mireille saw it too. She sighed. Okay. That's unfairly cute. Seijin looked up. Everything all right? Fine, I said. Just needed a moment. He nodded slowly. I understand if this is overwhelming. Take whatever time you need. Mireille sat back down. So let's talk specifics. What exactly are you proposing? Seijin's expression turned serious. Professional. A live-in arrangement. You and Minjun would have your own space, private quarters, full autonomy. You'd help with Hajun during the day. Evenings would be yours unless there was an emergency. And payment? Mireille asked bluntly. Monthly salary. Competitive. Plus full benefits, health insurance, childcare expenses covered. How much? He named a figure. Mireille's eyes widened. I felt my stomach drop. That was more than I'd made in 6 months at my last job. That's too much, I said. It's fair, Seijin corrected. You'd be providing essential care. That has value. Where would this be? Seoul? Yes. My home is in Gangnam. Large enough for privacy, safe, quiet. Of course it was Gangnam. Mireille leaned forward. And what happens when you don't need him anymore? When Hajun gets older? Seijin's gaze moved to me. That won't happen. You can't promise that. I can. His voice was firm. Because this isn't just about childcare, it's about family. The word hung in the air. Mireille looked at me. I looked at Hajun. The baby reached for me with a small sound. Sejin noticed. He wants you. He's fine where he is. Jiwon. Sejin's voice softened. Please. I moved without thinking. Sat beside him on the couch. Took Hajun carefully. The baby immediately relaxed against my chest. Sejin's scent wrapped around us. Warm, intentional, too close. I became hyper-aware of everything. The heat of his body beside mine, the way his arm brushed my shoulder, the steady rhythm of his breathing. My suppressants chose that exact moment to falter. I felt my scent bloom. Just a little. Just enough. Sejin inhaled sharply. His eyes darkened. Oh no. I tried to pull it back. Couldn't. The stress of the day, the lack of sleep, everything was burning through the medication faster than it should. Sejin's pupils dilated. His scent pulsed in response. Stronger, richer. The air between us thickened. Jiwon, he said quietly. Your scent. I know. I'm sorry. I stood abruptly. Hajun whimpered. I need air. I walked to the windows, put space between us, tried to breathe. Behind me, I heard Mireille say something. Sejin's low response. Then footsteps. Sejin stopped beside me. Not touching, just present. Are you all right? He asked. Fine. You're lying. I looked at him sharply. How would you know? Because your scent spikes when you're anxious. His eyes searched mine. What are you afraid of? Everything, I wanted to say. You. This. How much I already want something I can't have. I'm afraid of making the wrong choice, I said instead. For Minjin? For both of us. Sejin was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was gentle. What does the right choice look like? I don't know. I looked out at the ocean. Lights flickered across the water. Stability, safety, a future that isn't held together by hope and duct tape. I can give you that. Can you? I turned to face him. Or are you just offering me a prettier cage? His jaw tightened. Is that what you think this is? I don't know what to think. We met yesterday. Now you're talking about family and partnership and… I stopped. Took a breath. It's too fast. Sejin. I know. Then why are you pushing? Because I've spent 2 months watching my son suffer. His voice roughened. 2 months of failure, of watching him cry and not being able to help. And then you appeared. And for the first time, he was calm, happy, safe. He stepped closer. I'm not pushing because I want to control you, he said quietly. I'm pushing because I'm desperate, and because every instinct I have is screaming that you're meant to be here. My breath caught. That's not fair, I whispered. I know. You can't just say things like that. Why not? Because it makes this harder. His eyes held mine. Good. It should be hard. That means it matters. The tension between us pulled tight. I felt my scent reach for his again. Felt his answer. The pull was magnetic, undeniable. Sejin lifted his hand slowly, gave me time to pull away. I didn't. His fingers brushed my cheek. Gentle. Careful. My eyes closed. Jiwon, he murmured. I opened my eyes. He was so close, close enough that I could see the silver flecks in his irises, could feel his breath against my lips. This is a bad idea, I said. Probably. We shouldn't. I know. Neither of us moved away. His thumb traced my jaw. My pulse hammered. Tell me to stop, he whispered. I should have. Every rational part of my brain screamed it. Instead, I leaned closer. His phone rang. The sound shattered the moment like glass. Sejin pulled back immediately, cursed under his breath, pulled out his phone. His expression changed. I need to take this. Go ahead. He stepped away. Answered in rapid Korean. His voice was clipped, professional. I walked back to the couch on shaking legs. Mireille gave me a look that said we would be talking about this later. Sejin's conversation grew more heated. I caught a few words. Contract, delay, problem. He hung up, ran a hand through his hair. I'm sorry, he said. There's an issue with a merger. I need to handle it. It's fine. It's not. He looked frustrated. I wanted tonight to be about us, about figuring this out. We can talk later. No. He crossed the room, stood in front of me. I need you to understand something. This isn't just convenience for me. It's not just about Hajun needing you. His scent pulsed. Intentional. Clear. I want you here, he said quietly. Both of you. And I'll do whatever it takes to prove this can work. Before I could respond, his phone rang again. He looked ready to throw it out the window. Answer it, I said. We'll talk tomorrow. Jiwon. Tomorrow, Seijin. He held my gaze for a long moment, then nodded. Mireille stood, gathered our things. I collected Minjun. At the door, Seijin touched my arm. I meant what I said, all of it. I know. His fingers lingered, then fell away. We left. In the elevator, Mireille was silent. On the street, she finally spoke. You're going to say yes, aren't you? I looked down at Minjun. He was asleep against my shoulder, trusting, safe. I think I already did, I whispered. And somewhere deep inside, beneath the fear and doubt, I felt something else. Hope. Terrifying, fragile hope. The taxi ride back to Mireille's apartment was quiet. Too quiet. She stared out the window. I stared at my phone. 3 missed calls from Seijin. 2 texts. I'm sorry about tonight. Can we talk tomorrow? Please. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. Mireille's voice cut through the silence. You're going to do it. I looked up. What? Move to Seoul. Live with him. Play house with a man you barely know. She turned to face me. Tell me I'm wrong. I opened my mouth. Closed it. That's what I thought. She looked back out the window. Mireille. I'm not mad. I'm worried. Her voice was softer now. I've seen you hurt before, Jiwon. I watched you pick up the pieces when Minjun's father left. I don't want to see that again. My chest tightened. This is different. Is it? Seijin isn't him. You don't know that. I know enough. I shifted Minjun in my arms. He was still asleep. Peaceful. I know he's trying. I know he cares about his son. I know he looks at me like I'm not just a solution to a problem. Mireille was quiet for a moment. And what does he look at you like? I didn't answer, because the truth was terrifying. He looked at me like I mattered. The taxi pulled up to Mireille's building. We climbed out. The night air was cool, salt from the ocean mixed with exhaust. Inside her apartment, I put Minjun down in his crib. He stirred but didn't wake. Mireille made tea, chamomile. The smell filled the small kitchen. I'm not trying to stop you, she said quietly. I just want you to be sure. I'm not sure about anything. I took the mug she offered. But I'm running out of time. The eviction notice doesn't care about my feelings. Money isn't everything, says someone who has an apartment. She flinched. I'm sorry, I said immediately. That was true. She sat across from me. Look, if you're doing this, do it smart. Get everything in writing. Contract, benefits, exit clause. Exit clause? In case it doesn't work out, in case he turns into an asshole, in case you need to leave. She held my gaze. Protect yourself, Jiwon, because no one else will. She was right. I knew she was right. But part of me wanted to believe that Seijin was different, that this could actually work. My phone buzzed. Another text from Seijin. I know you're probably upset. I don't blame you. But please, let me explain tomorrow. Give me that chance. Mireille leaned over and read it. He's persistent. He's desperate. Same thing sometimes. I typed quickly. Tomorrow. But we need to talk about details. Real details. His response came immediately. Anything you need. Thank you, Jiwon. I set my phone down. Mireille watched me with worried eyes. You really like him, don't you? I wanted to deny it. Wanted to say this was just practical. Just survival. But I couldn't. Yeah, I whispered. I think I do. That's what I was afraid of. I didn't sleep that night either. My mind ran in circles. Seijin's offer, Mireille's warnings, the way Hajun had calmed in my arms, the way Seijin had looked at me like I was something precious. By dawn, I was exhausted and wired at the same time. Minjun woke at 6. I fed him, changed him, stared at my reflection in the bathroom mirror. You can do this, I told myself. My reflection didn't look convinced. Mireille was already up when I came out. She had coffee ready, strong and black. So, she said, what's the plan? Talk to Seijin. Get details. Make a decision. When? I checked my phone. He wants to meet at 10, some cafe near the beach. Want me to come? No. I paused. Actually, yes, but stay at a different table. Close enough to intervene if needed. She grinned. I can work with that. The cafe was small and tucked away from the main tourist areas. White walls, plants hanging from the ceiling, the smell of espresso and fresh bread. Seijin was already there. He sat at a corner table with Hajun in a carrier strapped to his chest. The baby was awake and looking around with curious eyes. When Seijin saw me, he stood immediately. His expression was guarded, hopeful. Jiwan, thank you for coming. You asked me to. I know, but you could have said no. I sat across from him. Minjun squirmed in my arms. Hajun noticed and made a small sound. The two babies stared at each other. They remember, Seijin said quietly. Babies don't have great memories. Maybe not, but they know what feels safe. A server appeared. I ordered coffee. Seijin ordered tea. When we were alone again, he leaned forward. I'm sorry about last night, he said. The timing was terrible. It's fine. You have a job. I get it. It's not fine. His jaw tightened. I wanted to focus on you, on us, and instead I got pulled away. Seijin, let me finish. He took a breath. I've been thinking about what you said, about this being too fast. You're right. It is fast. But that doesn't make it wrong. It doesn't make it right either. No. He held my gaze. But it makes it worth trying. The server returned with our drinks. I wrapped my hands around the warm mug. I need specifics, I said. Real ones. Not just pretty promises. Of course. Where exactly would I be living? My home in Gangnam. It's a house, not an apartment. 3 floors. You and Minjun would have the entire second floor. 2 bedrooms, private bathroom, your own entrance if you want it. And my role? Helping with Hajun during the day. Feeding, playing, comfort, whatever he needs. You'd have evenings free, weekends negotiable. What about boundaries? His expression shifted. What kind? Personal ones? I'm not your employee. I'm not your... I stopped. My what? He asked softly. I looked away. I need to know where the lines are. Then we'll draw them together. He reached across the table, stopped just short of touching my hand. I'm not asking you to give up your autonomy. I'm asking you to be part of something. A family. Yes. With an alpha, I barely know. Then get to know me. His voice was steady. Certain. Ask me anything. I'll answer honestly. I stared at him. Anything? Anything. Why me? Really? Not the destiny talk. Not the Hajun needs you speech. Why do you actually want this? He was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was raw. Because I'm tired of being alone, he said. Because I've spent 2 months in a house that feels like a tomb. Because when you walked into that airport, something shifted, and I can't explain it. I can't rationalize it, but I know it's real. My breath caught. I'm not looking for a nanny, he continued. I'm looking for a partner. Someone who sees me as more than just an alpha CEO. Someone who challenges me, makes me laugh, keeps me honest. He finally touched my hand. Gentle, brief. You did all of that in one day, he said quietly. So yes, it's fast, it's terrifying, but it's real. And I'm willing to fight for it if you are. My throat tightened. Across the cafe, Mireille watched with sharp eyes. I looked down at Minjun, then at Hajun. The babies were still watching each other. Minjun reached out. Hajun's tiny hand moved toward his. They touched. Something in my chest cracked open. I have conditions, I said. Seijin's eyes lifted to mine. Name them. Everything in writing. Contract, pay, benefits, exit clause. Done? I need my own bank account, my own money, not dependent on you. Absolutely. And if this doesn't work, if I need to leave, you don't fight me. You don't use your money or power to keep me there. His jaw tightened, but he nodded. Agreed. One more thing. What? I met his gaze directly. No rushing, no pushing. We do this at my pace. You don't get to decide when I'm ready for more. Understanding flickered in his eyes. I would never. Promise me. I promise. His voice was firm. Your boundaries, your timeline, always. I believed him. That was the terrifying part. I believed him. Okay, I said quietly. His expression shifted. Hope bloomed across his features. Okay, I'll do it. I'll move to Seoul. I'll help with Hajun. But we're doing this my way. Yes, absolutely. Whatever you need. A smile tugged at my lips despite everything. You're very agreeable when you want something. I'm agreeable when it matters. He squeezed my hand gently. Thank you, Ji-won. You won't regret this. I better not. Ha-jun made a happy sound. Reached for me with both hands. Sejin unstrapped him from the carrier, handed him over. The baby settled against my chest immediately. His small hand curled in my shirt. Sejin watched us with something bright and vulnerable in his eyes. When can you start? He asked. I need a few days. To pack. Say goodbye to Mireille properly. Make arrangements. Take whatever time you need. I'll have my assistant handle the logistics. Moving company, travel, everything. Sejin. It's not charity, it's partnership. Let me help. I wanted to argue. But the truth was, I needed the help. Okay, I said again. He smiled. A real one. Bright and unguarded. It did unfair things to my heart. Across the cafe, Mireille stood. Walked over. So, she said, I'm assuming this means you're leaving me. For a while. Seoul's not that far. I can visit. You better. She looked at Sejin. Take care of him. Or I'll find you. Sejin's expression turned serious. You have my word. Good. She hugged me tight, whispered in my ear. Be happy, you deserve it. My eyes burned. When she pulled back, I saw tears in hers too. I love you, I said. Love you too, cousin. She left. And I sat there with Sejin and two babies and the weight of a choice that would change everything. No going back now, I said quietly. Sejin's hand found mine across the table. No going back, he agreed. And for the first time in years, I felt like I was moving forward, towards something real. Something worth the risk. Sejin's thumb traced slow circles on the back of my hand. The touch was gentle, grounding. His scent wrapped around me like a question waiting for an answer. What are you thinking? He asked quietly. That I'm either very brave or very stupid. His lips curved. Can't it be both? That's not reassuring. I'm not trying to reassure you. I'm trying to be honest. Ha-jun made a soft sound against my chest. I looked down. He was staring up at me with those wide gray eyes. Trusting. Content. My heart squeezed. He's already attached, I said. So am I. I looked up sharply. Sejin's expression was open, vulnerable in a way that made my breath catch. You barely know me, I said. I know enough. He leaned forward slightly. I know you stepped forward when everyone else stepped back. I know you put Minjun's needs above your pride. I know you're terrified but doing this anyway. That's just survival. No. His voice was firm. That's courage. Heat crawled up my neck. I looked away. Minjun chose that moment to grab at Ha-jun's hand. The babies made small sounds at each other, some private baby conversation we couldn't understand. They're conspiring, I muttered. Probably. Sejin watched them with soft eyes. Is that so bad? Depends on what they're planning. World domination, most likely. I smiled despite myself. Ambitious. They get it from their parents. The word hung in the air. Parents. Plural. My stomach flipped. Sejin's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, frowned. Problem? I asked. My assistant. Confirming details for the move. He looked at me. When did you want to leave Busan? Reality crashed back in. Right. I was doing this. Moving to Seoul. Moving in with a man I'd known for barely 2 days. Completely normal behavior. 3 days? I said. I need to pack. Say goodbye properly. 3 days is fine. He typed quickly. I'll have everything arranged. Moving company, travel, anything you need. Sejin. It's not charity, he said before I could finish. It's logistics. Let me handle it. I wanted to argue. But the truth was, I had no idea how to coordinate a move to Seoul on my own. Okay, I said quietly. Thank you. His expression softened. You don't have to thank me for this. Yes, I do. Ji-won. You're giving me a chance when I have no other options. That deserves thanks. He set his phone down, reached across the table again. This time his hand covered mine completely. You're not doing me a favor, he said quietly. I'm the one who should be grateful. That's not. It is. His thumb brushed my wrist. You're giving me hope. That's worth more than you know. My throat tightened. Before I could respond, Ha-jun started fussing. Small whimpers that would turn into full crying if I didn't act fast. He's hungry. I said. How do you know? The way he's rooting. And his scent just shifted. I stood carefully. Do you have a bottle? Sajin was already pulling one from the diaper bag. He'd come prepared. I settled back down and positioned Hajun carefully. The moment the bottle touched his lips, he latched on. The fussing stopped immediately. Sajin watched with something that looked like wonder. You make it look easy, he said. It's not easy, it's practice. Still, his gaze lingered on us. I've never seen him this calm with anyone. He just needs to feel safe. So do you. The words were soft, intentional. I looked up. Sajin's eyes held mine. I'll make sure you feel safe, he said. Both of you. That's a promise. Don't make promises you can't keep. I don't. The certainty in his voice made something in my chest ache. Minjun started squirming in my other arm. I was running out of hands. Sajin noticed immediately. May I? I hesitated, then nodded. He reached over and lifted Minjun gently. My son stared at him with wide eyes. Suspicious. Hello, Sajin said quietly. I'm going to be around a lot. I hope that's all right with you. Minjun blinked. Then grabbed Sajin's tie. He likes you, I said. Or he's planning my downfall. Also possible. Sajin smiled. A real one. The kind that reached his eyes and made him look years younger. I felt something shift inside me. Something warm and terrifying. Oh no. This was more than practicality. More than survival. I was starting to actually care about him. Hajun finished the bottle. I lifted him to burp him. He let out a small sound and relaxed against my shoulder. You're a natural, Sajin said. I've had practice. With Minjun? And working at a daycare for 6 months. Before everything fell apart. His expression shifted. What happened? I looked down at Hajun. The owner found out I was an unmated Omega. Said it was a liability. Let me go. Sajin's scent sharpened. Anger bled through the edges. That's illegal, he said. It's also reality. I met his eyes. Being an Omega without a pack, without protection, people treat you like you're broken, or dangerous, or both. His jaw tightened. That won't happen with me. You can't control how people see me. No, but I can make sure they think twice before disrespecting you. His voice dropped. Anyone who hurts you answers to me. The protective edge in his tone did things to my heart I wasn't ready to examine. That's very alpha of you, I said lightly. Is that a problem? I haven't decided yet. His mouth curved. Fair enough. We sat in comfortable silence for a moment. The cafe buzzed around us. Other customers talked and laughed. Normal people living normal lives, unlike whatever this was becoming. Sajin's phone buzzed again. He glanced at it and sighed. Work? I asked. Always. He typed a quick response. I need to handle something this afternoon. A meeting I can't reschedule. It's fine. I should get back to Mireille's anyway. Pack. Process. Will you let me drive you? You don't have to. Jiwon. He looked at me steadily. I want to. Please. The sincerity in his voice made it impossible to refuse. Okay, I said. We gathered our things. Sajin settled Hajun back in the carrier. I held Minjun. We walked out into the Busan sunshine together. His car was parked nearby. Sleek, black, expensive, of course. A driver appeared from nowhere and opened the back door. You have a driver, I said flatly. Sometimes. Sajin helped me settle Minjun in a car seat that I definitely hadn't seen before. I had one installed this morning. For safety. You installed a car seat this morning. Yes. For a baby you met yesterday. Is that a problem? I stared at him. You're either the most prepared person I've ever met or slightly unhinged. Can it be both? Despite everything, I laughed. Sajin's expression brightened, like my laughter was something precious. The drive to Mireille's apartment was quiet, comfortable. Sajin sat beside me in the back. Our shoulders touched occasionally. Each contact sent warmth through my skin. His scent filled the car. Pine and something warmer. It mixed with mine in a way that felt natural. Right. I tried not to think about what that meant. When we pulled up to Mireille's building, Sajin turned to me. 3 days, he said quietly, and then you come home. To Seoul. To me. His eyes held mine. Both of you. My breath caught. Sajin. I know it's fast. I know you're scared. But I meant what I said. You're not just helping me. You're becoming part of something. He reached out slowly. gave me time to pull away. I didn't. His hand cupped my cheek. Gentle. Careful. I won't let you regret this, he whispered. You can't promise that. Watch me. His thumb brushed my jaw. My pulse jumped. Heat spread through my chest. We were too close. His scent too strong. My suppressants too thin. I should pull away. I leaned in instead. Seijin inhaled sharply. His eyes darkened. Jiwon, he murmured. If you keep looking at me like that. Like what? Like you want this as much as I do. My heart hammered. What if I do? His control cracked. Just a little. Enough for me to see the want beneath the careful restraint. Then I'd say we're both in trouble, he said roughly. Minjun made a sound from his car seat. The moment shattered. Seijin pulled back immediately, cleared his throat. Right. Babies. Timing. He ran a hand through his hair. I should let you go. Yeah, you should. Neither of us moved. Finally, I forced myself to reach for the door handle. 3 days, I said. 3 days, he agreed. I climbed out, gathered Minjun, started toward the building. Jiwon. I turned. Seijin stood beside the car. The afternoon sun caught his hair, made his eyes look silver. I'm glad you said yes, he said quietly. Me too. And I meant it. I really meant it. Upstairs. Mireille took one look at my face and groaned. You're already gone on him, aren't you? I set Minjun down in his playpen. I don't know what you're talking about. Your scent is everywhere. And you're blushing. I am not. I touched my face. It was warm. Shut up, she laughed. Oh, this is going to be a disaster. Probably. But you're doing it anyway? I thought about Seijin's hand on my cheek. His promise. The way he looked at me like I was something worth keeping. Yeah, I said quietly. I am. Mireille pulled me into a hug. Then I'm happy for you. Terrified. But happy. That makes 2 of us. The next 3 days passed in a blur of packing and paperwork and phone calls with Seijin's assistant, who was terrifyingly efficient. A moving company appeared to pack my things. Seijin sent contracts via email. Everything was official. Legal. Real. I signed my name and felt the weight of the choice settle in my chest. No going back now. The night before I left, Mireille and I sat on her balcony. The ocean stretched dark and endless beyond the buildings. You'll visit? I asked. Try to stop me. She sipped her wine. Plus, someone needs to make sure Mr. CEO treats you right. He will. You sound sure. I am. I looked at the stars. He's different, Mireille. I can feel it. Then I'm glad. She squeezed my hand. You deserve good things, Jiwon. Don't forget that. My throat tightened. I'll try. The morning came too fast. Seijin's driver arrived at 8, helped load everything. Minjun and I settled into the back seat. Mireille hugged me at the curb, whispered that she loved me, made me promise to call. I promised. The car pulled away. Busan disappeared behind us. Seoul rose ahead. Tall buildings, endless possibility. And somewhere in Gangnam, Seijin was waiting. My phone buzzed. We're ready for you. Both of you. Welcome home, Jiwon. I stared at the message. Home. When was the last time I'd had one of those? I looked down at Minjun. He was asleep against my chest. Peaceful. Safe. Here we go, I whispered. New life. New start. He made a soft sound. I took that as agreement. The car drove on. And with every mile, I felt the past fall away, making room for something new, something terrifying and beautiful and real, something that felt like coming home. The end. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe for more.